So before we get started, let me quickly introduce to you the scene we're going to be using for this tutorial. Those are the assets we're currently working on right now, and asset pack we're currently working on. You can find it on our website, so enter.ca, hashtag or pound sign, sorry, download. And yeah, so this is what we're going to be using, and we're going to be creating a rail all around this place. So we can have a better look at it, have some nice camera effect going on. And the first thing you'll need, obviously, since we're doing a Cinemachine tutorial, you're going to need the asset itself. So if you don't have it already, go over to the asset store and type in Cinemachine. So at the top right here, just like this, it is a asset made by Unity Technology themselves, so you know it's going to be good. You import it and you put it right inside of your project. Now make sure that you are, I didn't mention this before, but make sure you are on Unity 2017. This is actually something really important. So if you don't have that, head over to unity3d.com, click on download Unity, which is going to be right here, but written in your language, and you're going to download a personal edition if you want to. This is going to give you the Unity 2017, in which you're going to have a lot of cool features, including this one. Right. So once you have downloaded it, you're going to have the Cinemachine asset right here, but we're not going to be looking at this. You can have an example, you can have a look at these if you want, but in our case, we are going to be creating a Dolly track without any of their scene. We're going to be using our own custom scene. Alright, so let's get started. We have to click on Cinemachine right here at the top, and then you have to create any kind of camera you want. In our case, for this tutorial, we're going to be creating a Dolly camera with a track. So once that is completed, you're going to see that your main camera now has a brain on it, a Cinemachine brain just below all of that stuff. It is right here, and it has a few settings you can play with. So we already went over this. I'm not going to go over it again, but those are basically just valid for every single camera you'll be creating. So this one will control everything. Now this also created a virtual camera, so right here, and a Dolly track. Let's start with the virtual camera itself. We're going to call it Dolly camera, and the Dolly track, I'll just call it Dolly track without the one next to it. So the Dolly track, the Dolly camera itself, it is already bound, so the body is already bound to the track Dolly. We don't really have to touch that at the moment. Now the aim is on composer, but we don't have anything to look at, so does it ask us for a look at right here? We are not, no, it's not asking us for a look at. Is it on camera itself? It is not on camera itself, so this camera right here, it needs something to look at, and there it is. I actually found it. So let's, for the moment, let's actually have a look at the centerpiece of our scene, which could be this gem over here. I'll simply drag and drop this gem inside of that field. So where's it at? It's SS Spike. Let me drag this out for a second. Go back on my virtual camera and drag the SS Spike for the look at. So let's just assume that SS Spike would be our player. At all time, our camera is going to be trying to look at SS Spike. Okay. So let's go ahead and start creating our track. So this is the really fun part. We have the camera right here on top of the, actually we have the Dolly track right on top of the camera, and now we can start laying down waypoint. You're going to see there's a big button called Add Waypoint to Path, so let's go ahead and click that, and then a bunch of things are going to spawn. You're going to see first the Dolly track itself, which is over here, and then 2 points, and this is what you're going to be making your track with. So I'm not sure where could we start. We could start right in the house. So I'll drag this big sphere right inside of the house. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit hard to control at first, but you get used to it quite fast. So the big circle that you see beneath this Cinemachine icon is actually where you go, and this is a handle to help you curve the track. But right now we don't have a second waypoint, so you don't even see the track itself. Well, let's go ahead and click on the plus sign over here on the right hand side. At this point, you're going to start seeing the track itself, and you can move it around like this. So let's take it outside of this little cabin. And if we head back on the first waypoint, you can open the path detail, click on 0. That's going to give us the first path. You're going to see what the handle is for. So let's move the handle around. As you can tell, this is only to give it some kind of influence. So we're going to walk out straight out of the cabin, go over here, and then that's the second waypoint. So at this point we can say go a little bit down, pull this way, and we can have a look at these nice little sea lion. hit the plus sign again. We're gonna have another one. And who knows, we can start curving. So you just make your track at this point, have plenty of fun doing it. It's actually quite a nice tool, to be honest. And what is really fun about it as well is that you can visualize it using the green track. If you want to change the color of the track, like when you don't touch it or when you just leave it like that, you can actually do that by clicking on the track itself, and then at the top here there is a really hidden appearance tab, which you can change the color in. So let's put that red, bright red, and when we're not touching it, it's going to be cyan. Play with the width of this and increase the steps. So I'm quickly going to go around, create a track, and I will be back with you fairly soon. Okay, so we return right here with a new track. This track has about 13 points, and it's a simple one where we just go around, wrap around this thing we're looking at, and then keep on going and do this whole trail. Now to try this out, we'll have to play with the path position. And if I just move this ahead, you're going to see that we do move around this. It keeps looking, let's actually pull this game window at the same time. And let's go back to the beginning. If I just play this slowly, you can see that we do run around this, we look at the spike, then we complete our track. And we actually stop at 13 right here. And the reason is because we have 13 points, so in between every single one of these points is a length of 1. Well, of that float, of course. So if you go at 1, you're going to be exactly on the first point. If you go at 2, exactly on the second point, so on and so forth. So what we have to do at this point is to actually animate this thing. Now there is multiple ways we could animate this. You can actually create a single animation. You could modify that by code. But what we'll be doing is we're going to merge Cinemachine and the timeline. So we are going to be using the timeline in this right now. Let's go ahead and go under Window, pull the timeline editor, and then hit Create. We're going to create a, I don't know, like a track animation playable. And now you'll have to play with this new window again. So we're starting to have quite a few windows in here. I'm going to pull this down so we can play with it a little bit better. Make some space. And let's actually go over the console actually. Okay, so to do this, we are going to be animating the Dolly camera. So I'll hit the record. Actually, let's put that back on. Where is it? Right here, path position. Let's put that back on 0 and then hit the record button. Create a keyframe. How do I create a keyframe? I'll cheat a little bit. I'll move the path position and then put it back on 0. So that is, of course, for the very first second. Now if we go ahead and move it in time, so maybe 600 frame, then we can put that on 13. And you're going to see that if we press on stop playing, we do have an animation right here. Let's pull the curve. A simple animation that goes from start to finish. It is not linear at all. So as you can tell at the beginning, we start really slowly. And then eventually we gain some speed. And it just moves like this. So not really what we want. We'll be playing with the curve a little bit more. So let's make this, if we right click on this, we'll make this linear. Same thing on this one right here. So that's the left tangent. Let's put that on linear. Here is the right tangent, linear. And that's a little bit better, but we do have some smoothing to do. And to do that smoothing, we can do X and Y and Z damping. So let's put that, say, on 3, 3, and 3. Now the timing is not going to be perfect still because the distance in between my points aren't really calculated. You know, I did it super fast, but if you want to have like the best timing, you have to actually plan out your whole animation frame by frame, which I guess you'll do if you're making something super high quality. Right now this is only for tutorial purpose. So what I'll do is I'll actually take this keyframe right here and I'll just move it holding shift because I don't want to lose my value. I don't want to go up and down basically. I only want to go sideways so I can gain some time basically. And now we have 1,200 frames to play with. It's a little bit slower, but of course it does the job. So now let's go ahead and actually play this in the game, see how it looks like. So it looks like this. Now my resolution is kind of weird, but we have this sweet little animation with, you know, a weird look at target all the time, we can go ahead and start playing with that look at target directly in the timeline. So let's do that. So we have an actual real looking animation. When we come out of this cabin, we can look at this thing, it doesn't matter really. But after that, we have to change focus. So here, we can look at it. That's fine. We're looking at it. Now, as soon as we're done right about there, so let's make sure that around this time, right there, we do hit the record button and we put the spike in here. So let's put the spike back inside of the look at. So spike is going to be right here. And then we're going to be changing it a little bit later on. It didn't work, so let me turn that on anything else right now. And let's put it back on spike too, same frame. Okay, so during all the duration, we're looking at the spike. And then at this point, let's do a change. So we're going to be looking at this sign logo right here. Let me pull it down. And then once we're done looking at the sign logo, let's go ahead and look at the fishes on the bonfire. And then finally look at, say, oh, we can keep on staring at the fish actually. So we have our three objects we're going to be looking at. We have the spike, which is right here, the sign logo, and then the fish. So for the very first 580-ish animation, we're going to be looking at the spike. And then immediately after, let's actually change that to be the sign logo. So I click back on my Dolly camera, go under the look at, and put my sign logo in here. You're going to see there's a new keyframe. And at this point there is like a total shift. So it starts, it goes there, and then it snaps to the other one, the other look at. And then let's move on ahead. We're looking at the logo, and then say about there, we're going to start looking at the fish. And then it just snaps to the fish. Okay, so here is a look of the animation, and we're going to see a snap in a few seconds, and here it is. So it is quite fast, it's not really good looking. Same thing for this one. Let's swap to the fish, and here you go. So we swap the fish. They actually swap way too fast. So we can actually play around with that inside of the aim. If we play around with the damping, so you can boost yours if you want. You can just play around with the whole composer stuff. But really though, if you really wanted to have like some nice different look at target, you would have to swap in between cameras. So you would have another camera maybe on the same exact dolly, and then you swap in between these. So let's actually try to do that. I think we can do that directly right now. So let's say that's dolly camera number 1. I copy it, dolly camera number 2, and dolly camera number 3 here. So I'm going to be improvising a little bit, but I think we can actually achieve this quite easily by changing first the look at. Okay, so camera 1 has the SS spike 2, camera 2 also, and camera 3 also, and that's because they're bound inside of the animation. So let's actually go and remove that real quick by clicking on any of those. Then I'll actually double click on the animation, which should open it. Oh, if you double click right here in the timeline, it's going to open it inside of the old animation, and then we can find the look at. We have to look for the look at. So I think, yeah, these right here are the look at, the virtual something. I'm going to remove, and then is that the one we're trying to remove? We don't want to remove this one. Okay, cool. So having this done, it should actually always look at the same thing at the moment. And yeah, so if I'm going through all of these right now, they're no longer blue, so they're no longer animated. Camera 1 is the spike, camera 2 is going to be the sign logo, and camera 3 is going to be the fishes. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong thing. It's not under follow, it is actually under look at. Okay, fish. So we have 3 different cameras, and they should be all running on the same exact track right now. So if we just move this around, they're all stacked on top of each other, running on the same track, which is perfect for now. So if we try and just go ahead and play one, let's split our scene apart also. we try and have, say, a solo for camera 2, you're going to see that it's always going to be looking at the sign. If we go on camera 3, it's always going to be looking at the fish. At least, trying to look at the fish at least. But our damping is very, very high. So we have 3 cameras running on the same thing. Now we can do some blending in between these. And we've done blending in the first episode, I think, of the Cinemachine we did on the channel. But let's do it again through animation this time. Since we're now working with more than one camera, we actually move our playable director, so our timeline animation, we'll move it from the cameras themselves to the actual brain. So I'm removing the playable director on every single one of these, and I'll be adding one to my main camera. So I think I can just drag and drop. No, I can't. So let's go ahead and do a playable director and drag and drop the track animation in here. See what we get. So, okay, we don't get anything. We actually broke it because this one doesn't have a, the component it's looking for. So what we'll do instead is we'll delete this one. So we have our playable director, we have the clean animation now. Let's drag and drop our camera in there one by one. So that's Dolly camera 1. I'll do a animation track, Dolly camera 2, animation track, and Dolly camera 3 animation track. Now all of those at the same exact time are going to be following the same rail. So I'll just hit record on every single one of those, and let's do, can I multi-edit? Oh, I can't multi-edit this virtual camera. Okay, so go under body, put the pad position on 0 at first, same thing for this one, and same thing for this one. We head over to say, oh sorry, it didn't save. There we go. And then we head over to say 1200 frames, and we're now on 13, which is the last point. So they should all be running on the same exact time at this point, and we can now go ahead and start deactivating them one by one. So if we actually take the Dolly camera 1, that's the one with the most priority right now. We start off here, everything is fine, we go outside, and then at this point, or maybe a little bit later, right here, we actually try and turn it off. So I'm going to go on my camera and actually turn off the virtual camera script. At this point, it should actually forget about the fact that it's open in the first place, and then head over to the second camera. Now I don't know if we need to have an open frame, so just to make sure, I'll open it up right here, and then I'll close it right afterward, and it's going to do the blending in between them. It doesn't look like it's doing any blending right now, but it should do it in the game. So same thing right about there. We now want to actually swap off this camera. So Dolly camera 2 is going to be shut down here. Let's go back a little bit and enable it. And now we have this same exact thing as we had earlier, but we should actually have blending in between of them. So I'm going to play this in the game. See if it works, of course. That looked crazy for a second, but hey, let's just forget about this. And then we turn off the first camera, and it starts looking at the second waypoint. We turn off the second waypoint, and it starts looking at the fish. Now we have some weird angle, but basically the blending was done properly. If you want to change the blending, you can head over to the main camera, and then under the brain, you'll see you have some custom blend. Right now it's an ease in out. It takes about 2 seconds, which is way too much for us. Let's put that on 0.5, and let's just tweak things a little bit. I'm going to go back on my camera, fix the damping. Damping was way too high, so aim, damping, let's put that on 1. Same thing here. And then you can also play around with the composer to just have the perfect shot for what you need. Now also remember that you can actually play around with the composer, and you should be playing around with the composer so you can have the best result. Whether it is for horizontal damping, vertical damping, or just like making sure that your pivot point, which is in my case right here, too low, we can change that, put a bigger dead zone. This way it doesn't look at the floor. And you can actually manually edit this directly in the game window if you're not playing a game like I am right now. So you're over here, you can actually play around with this, which is great. Same thing for this little gem right here. Now we have more room, and same thing with the fishes. Again, more room. So let's put that on maximize on play, and we'll have a look at this animation. So we're following a track, we're looking at 3 different objects, there's some penguins dancing in the background, everything is nice, and that's actually going to be it, guys. Now of course my animation is really rough, needs a lot of tweaking to look good, but basically the basics are there, and you can now just play around with the trail, make it look good, play around with the track, shorten those or lengthen those. It's, you know, whatever you want at this point. Just be creative, and I hope this helped you. I hope this helped you get started with the whole track. If you remember, we did a track in the past using code only, and that wasn't really as easy as this one. So I'm glad that they did come out with something easier so we can all use it and have fun. Plus they have a blending system, which is quite cool. Guys, I hope that this helped you, and if it did, please leave me a like. Always appreciate those. If you need help or have video suggestion, you can also check out the Discord, which is somewhere, you know, where we chat. We're really active there. You might have question, we can answer you. And yeah, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be catching you in the next episode.